Good evening, dear viewers. This is George from Ireland. Here I am in Moscow. Behind me, you'll see this enormous equestrian statue of Marshall Gheorghe Zhukov. So, Zhukov is one of the most distinguished Russian military commanders of all time, who's credited with winning the Second World War, probably more so than any other individual, because 75% of German troops were here on the Eastern Front facing his men. So a little bit about his background. He came from a working class family in a small city not far from Moscow. He was apprenticed to a furrier, conscripted into the Tsarist cavalry in the First World War, rose through the ranks. Then the October Revolution came in 1917, and he joined the Red side in the Civil War. So although he didn't have officer training, he was very capable and courageous, and quickly was made an officer. The Reds didn't have time to worry about the traditional officers' frippery or things like that, and promoted people on the basis of ability and loyalty. So the 1930s did very well for his career because there was the great purges of officers, and he was promoted very high. He came close to Stalin. He was a valiant man, and it was a cult courage he had because he was willing to disagree with Stalin. As they say, you had to be a very brave man to be a coward in the Red Army, saying that you should retreat rather than attack or something like that. So Stalin respected him because Zhukov was willing to speak his mind, and that's why he had such a major role in the Second World War. He and Rokossovsky were racing to get to Berlin. Unfortunately, their men sometimes hitting each other with artillery and so on to see who would make it. Eventually, Stalin decided it should be Zhukov, not Rokossovsky, partly because the latter had some Polish ancestry, was an aristocrat. So there was the Victory Day parade in 1945. Stalin had thought of riding in it himself on a charger, but his son Vasily vouchsafed that Stalin feared he might fall off. So the honours went to Zhukov, who rode in at Red Square, and you can see the footage of that magnificent triumphal ceremony that Eisenhower attended. Anyway, only a year later, Zhukov was purged, not sent to the Gulag or anything, but he was publicly denounced as being insufficiently grateful to Stalin, and he was demoted. He was put in charge of a minor military district far from Moscow. He was rehabilitated after the decease of Stalin, and in 1953 he led troops into an office to arrest Lavrentiy Beria, who'd been the head of the secret police up until that point, and Zhukov was a prominent figure for several years to his retirement. He died in 1970. So here he is. His statue's just off Red Square. You see, well, it's not very obvious from this angle, his horse is trotting on an eagle, as in the Nazi symbol. I wonder whether they also wanted to be the American symbol as well. And then on the pedestal of this enormous statue, there is St. George slaying the dragon, a reference to the symbol of Moscow and to Russia's old faith. That's all the moment about Gheorghe Zhukov.